we need to rethink the concept of spelling lists. You know, that list of words to spell, and then sometimes you give them a spelling bee or a test in spelling. Have you ever noticed that a child might have a list of 10 words to learn for spelling, and they get all right in a spelling test? And then when they have to use it in an actual written passage or a story, they spell it wrong? Why is that? It's because when you're writing a story, writing a passage, writing something from your mind is not just focused on the spelling of the word, it's focused on the ideas you want to put down, what you want to put down next. So your mind is in a variety of places. It's functioning on a deeper level so that you might forget how to spell the word because it wasn't drilled into your brain as part of your psyche. It's just something you learnt for a test to be forgotten. It entered almost like your short-term memory, but didn't stick into the long-term. So how do you get the spelling to really stick into the long-term memory part? What is better than giving a list of words to learn off to spell? Well, I'll tell you, I could tell you from my own perspective what went on with me. One, I was not a big reader. I was not big into reading. There were some stories I loved to read. Other than that, I would rather go and do some art and write a story rather than actually read a story. I do a lot of art instead. Unlike my older sister who just drank books. And it did affect me. When I was 11, 12, I was not great at spelling at all. And credit to a form teacher I had when I was in Form 1, she suggested to my parents, get Lorraine to read more. It would improve across the board her language. And I did get into reading at that point, and it did improve my spelling quite a bit. The other thing was, I was very good at spelling Spanish words. I was awful at Spanish as a language. I used to sit in the back of the class, try to avoid eye contact with my Spanish teacher. But when she said we're doing spelling tomorrow, I loved it. I loved doing spelling in Spanish. I spelled better in Spanish than in English, even though I didn't understand Spanish, because Spanish words were highly phonetical. I found that there was a strong sound to spelling connection. So what's the point of my own personal experience? It's this. The best way, well, some of the best ways to get children to learn to spell words is not through a list of words to learn off by heart. Even though once I had a high school teacher who told us, girls, the best way to be a speller is to just learn it off. Not true. What I have realized is the best way to become a strong speller is one, well, what can we do as teachers? One, teach children to understand sounds, letter sound connections, the phonics, the sounds of words, and connecting sounds can help a lot. But the English language is not a very strong phonetical language, as is perhaps Spanish. So what else? To teach them other aspects of words, such as root words, the foundation of words, even where words came from in history and how words can connect to each other. So some words are, all have a similar history behind them. And when you start learning the history of words and where words come from and the root words and the origin of words, it's very intriguing and very exciting to learn. It's all connected actually to history. And I don't want it to sound too complicated, but knowing the root of words can help children in their spelling. So for example, just at the infant level, we teach happy, unhappy, happiness. All of that can help them understand how words are spelled. Also the simple rules, such as when drop E before adding ing. Those simple rules can help children understand how to spell rather than giving it in a list. So teaching words, teaching about words is a great way for children to really strengthen their spelling skills. Another thing is to just read more. Children who read a lot get to understand and recognize words better. So they can even tell you that word just looks wrong. This one makes sense because they're engaged with words so much that it drills into their long-term memory. So children who read daily, read a lot, you'll improve your spelling rather than a list to learn. Additionally, writing stories, using those words in writing. So even if you have a list of words that you want your children, your students to know, get them to write with it. Get them to write a note about a science experiment they did. Let them, not give them a note, let them write the note. Let them write stories daily. Let them write diaries and use those words within their writing. Of course, they're going to make mistakes in spelling. Don't correct all, but hone in on 1 or 2 spelling errors and then let them use those corrected words in subsequent stories. And another thing we can do, we know word walls, have charts, posters that make sense to the children and hone them to it. Let them go and look at those charts and look at those pictures and those words and say, look. I remember I had a chart which was a carnival chart, and it was a really beautiful, like a poster with a whole carnival scene, and you had different it was a cartoon looking drawing, but the images, things were labeled within it. And I noticed that I had a student, infant student, and she was writing and she used the word camera in her story, and I said, oh, and she spelt it well. I said, where did you how did you know to use that word? And she said, Miss, look. And she was drawn to that chart and she loved it and she would always keep looking at it. And she began to use words from the chart within her story. And then other children were like, oh yeah, look. And they started to copy and it became a thing. So let them use words in their environment within their stories on a regular basis. The more they use it, the more they read, the more they understand words and the nature of words, then they will improve as spellers. So mix the spelling list to learn off by heart for a test and use more innovative ways, and then you'll get stronger spellers. Quick reminder, if you're looking for a structured way to help children 4+ years to 7-year-old foundation level of learning to build their reading skills, their math skills and their English language skills, then visit hopalonglearning.com. Developed by me, you'll get ebooks, quizzes, flashcards, teaching videos, songs, all in a fun way, and just hit the link below, hopalonglearning.com.